Welcome, crafty friends. I hope you're all having a great weekend so far. Thank you for tuning into my channel. My name is Deepa Robbins from DeeZinesByD, and today I have a bunch of alcohol ink backgrounds that I'm making Christmas cards out of. Now, this is one of the best ways I find to create a whole bunch of cards that have like one particular theme. And in this case, it's Christmas. I've been churning out Christmas cards since July here, and I just had to make a whole bunch more. And I love the effect that these alcohol inks have on these cards. It gives you such vibrant and pretty backgrounds. And when you add this pinata brass ink to it, it really just makes your background pop and stand out that much more. Furthermore, I have a bunch of dies that I'm going to be using to create focal points on the center of these cards, along with some foiled and heat embossed sentiments that I'm going to be using. So let's go ahead and get into this. I have my alcohol ink stored in this Tim Holtz tin here. I actually haven't used it for a while, so I was kind of wiping off some dust there. But I store them all in here along with some of my Altenew inks. So you can see this second tin. I have Altenew inks and alcohol inks, and I'm basically just going to look through what I have. I really don't have that many. I know some people have like the entire line, but what I'm going to do is pick out the colors that I like the most. And what I'm looking for here are a lot of nice blues, deep blues, possibly into purple, and some greens. So I showed you that pinata brass ink. That is going to be the key for these backgrounds. I find that this is better than the mixatives. So I really do encourage you to get that. I'm going to be using Yupo paper, obviously, for the alcohol ink. You can use whatever substrate you have, but obviously normal cardstock is not going to work for alcohol inks. I'm using both the white cardstock and the translucent paper just to kind of see what the difference is. I'm running out of the white cardstock and I have this here, so I thought I might as well try it and see how it goes. So you can use Ranger alcohol blending solution, or you can use, I'd say, about 90% isopropyl alcohol. Mine is actually 99%, which is really strong. I mean, if you're able to keep your room ventilated, it's okay to use. But the point in having the 90% is it really keeps your fluid or your alcohol ink just moving around. So when I do my backgrounds, I start off by adding that alcohol ink to the paper first. And once I've done that, then I will add my colored alcohol inks. For each background, I'm going to list the colors that I used. And like I said, I'm looking for more of a bluey tone for these first two backgrounds, and then my last one's going to be more of a greeny tone. So you can see I've really layered up all of these colors. I've cut out some of it because I don't want you to just be watching me spreading alcohol all over the place. Here's a little nifty tip. I have my, everybody should have this now, your hand sanitizer. This is perfect for getting the rest of that alcohol ink off your surface. I'm using my glass mat. You could use the Tim Holtz mat or some other mat, whatever you have. You can even just use a scrap piece of paper. It completely works. So now I've gone to my second background and I'm adding a bit more purple to this one. Compared to the last one, that one was more bluey. As I said, I'm not showing you the entire process. I did take a lot of time to kind of build up all of the colors of these inks. So I just want to go over my general technique here, which is that I'll put down the isopropyl alcohol or my blending solution. I add my colored ink and then I will drop the brass pinata ink into each of those colored drops. Then I spread that around. Now for this one here, I'm actually going to be creating a bit of a geode look. So what I'm going to do is drop my colors of inks down one after the other. But in between, I will blow it out with my blower, and then I will drop some brass in, and then I'll blow it out with my blower, and then I'll drop the next color, and then I'll blow it out with my blower. And I keep doing that, and that creates a whole bunch of concentric circles, which in the end creates this beautiful geode background that I have here. Now, as you can see, this was the one where I kind of just haphazardly blew the ink all over the place. There wasn't really a rhyme or reason to it. Same thing with this one, and it's really just up to you. You just keep adding inks and moving it around with the blending solution until you find that you like what you see. Here's that geode looking one, which I'm really proud of. I finally figured out how to do this, and I'm really happy to share that with you. So I'm going to start working on all the little elements like my sentiments and my focal points. I'm using Spellbinders Yana's Christmas sentiments for most of my my sentiments. I think it's sentiments on 2 cards, and I will be foiling using Spellbinders polished brass foil. So I'm going to be foiling like 2 sub sentiments, which are basically carols, like verses from carols, which is what comes with the set. And then I will foil a main sentiment, which is, Merry Christmas. So once I've got that good and foiled there, I have these 2 nice well, not scripty, but printed carol words, I guess. And I'm going to use this sentiment strip, which is perfect for cutting, this die for cutting these sentiment strips. And I'm going to cut these out here. And I've also cut out my main sentiment. So I did that for 2 cards, and for these 2 cards, I'm using the same focal point as well. So I'm using this beautiful Star of Bethlehem. I am so sorry. This die I got like a long, long time ago, about 5 or 6 years ago, before I really got into card making that, as heavily as I am now. And it was back when I used to buy a lot of stuff from Etsy, and I was in the mode back then of taking off all the packaging and then just packaging on white backings. So I'd put them into my envelopes with white backing. So I really don't even know where it's from. I'm so sorry that I can't provide that for you. I did actually look that up about a month ago so that I could share that with you, but I've completely lost it. So what I will do is I will link a product that is close to this or is something about as nice as this that you could use as well. So this is how the first card turned out. So I did the star in Sizzix Gold Mirror cardstock, and then for this bluey purpley card, I decided to use some white cardstock just to get a bit of variation and just to see what the 2 different looks would look like in the end. As for the sentiments, I did the exact same sentiments, and these sentiments are actually foiled on Sizzix Gold Pearl cardstock. So it's hard to see in this video, but when you actually move that cardstock left to right in the light, it shines like a nice pearly gold color. Now, for the last 2 cards, I'm going to be using this Simon Says Stamp Stained Glass Greetings Sentiment set. This is a bit of an older set, but I love it. It's so classic, and it can be used from year to year to year. So for this one, I will be doing some heat embossing, and I'm going to be embossing with Ranger Princess Gold embossing powder. I thought that this matched very nicely with the Pinata brass ink that I used on the alcohol ink backgrounds. So I'm actually stamping this in 2 stages. The first stage, I'll stamp out the main sentiment. So this is the piece. And then I'm going to go back in and stamp out the rest of that sentiment. It comes with all these little before and after sentiments that you can add to it as well, which is what I really like about the stamp set. So you can create a bunch of different sentiments just from this one stamp set, which I find is always the game changer for me. So as you can see, this is that pearly gold paper again. And this one I will be using on this beautiful geode background. I have to admit this is my favorite one. And I do want to know at the end, I'll be creating 4 cards. So tell me which one you like the best. I absolutely love how the background on this one turned out. And I'll definitely be using this technique for more cards going forward. And I hope that you could gain something from what I've shown you in doing this technique today, because I've honestly been scouring the internet for a bunch of alcohol ink making background videos, and I've been trying to figure out how to do this forever. And I always find that I get the videos that are like, they show you the full like 30 or hour long process, and I'm just like, oh no, where is it that you actually show me how to do this? Like, it's taken me so long, and I'm so happy that I could quickly just show this to you. And that's not to say that the videos I did watch weren't spectacular, because they were, because it is really an art form. And honestly, I could not do what they do. So anyways, moving on to this 4th card, I actually made this background a while ago, and I will link the video that I created this background in at the end of this one. And I used softer colors for this. I used more of like a light blue and a light pink and purple, and I wanted to make this background, when I was making it, a bit more whimsical and a little bit more feminine, which I thought was perfect for this one card. For the sentiment, it's from the same set. I foiled that with some Spellbinders silver foil, and this cardstock is actually really cool. Again, it's from that Sizzix pack that I keep going on about, but this one is the silver pearl cardstock, and it is really nice. And I think one of the best combos that I've discovered is using the skylight or like the light blue Spellbinders foil on this silver pearl cardstock. It just stands out so nicely and looks so beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and add the little sentiment in the center with some foam tape, and the little bow and the string at the top was actually from the Spellbinders Deck the Halls ornament set. For all of my embellishments, for the most part, I used Pinkfresh Studio Jewels, and I matched the colors based on my background. So for this one, I used the white and the light blue there. I don't know the actual names because I have the entire Pinkfresh set, so I didn't buy these separately. I like the set because it just gives you a nice range of colors, and I just like that there's such like a nice variation rather than having to pick and choose. I mean, some people like to pick and choose. It's all up to you. For this one, I decided to add some of those gold lolly beads to the actual die cut, and that's just going to highlight all the little crosses, so where the lines cross of that geometric tree. For the star, I'm using this blue, sorry, it's not blue, it's brown. This is one of the Pinkfresh Studio gems in brown, and it shines like an AB rainbow color, so I thought that looked really nice with the gold and the brass in the background. For this white star, I figured it's got a lot of white on it, so I didn't want to wash out the background too much. So what I did was I added more of those gold gems, and this brings out that brass color in the background, which I didn't have too much of on that panel. So let's move on to the card insides. I'm going to be using the Honeybee Stamps Farmhouse Tree Builder stamp set. I actually got this last year and I did not use it at all. So I'm using it now and I'm using Altenew Morning Frost ink. So when I do my insides of my cards, I like to use lighter color inks to create more of a watermark type image so that even if you did maybe need to write over it a little bit when you write out your sentiments or your message to whoever you're sending your card to, there's still space for you to do that and it's still legible. So for the accent color, for this one, I'm using Altenew Eastern Sky. And this is a nice light blue ink that's going to go with one of those blue backgrounds. So I just stamped that out a couple times. Like I said, this is a new stamp, so I actually used my sand eraser to kind of sand down a bit of the top there so that it didn't have too much of that oily residue on top, so my ink would stamp properly. For the second tree, I used Volcano Lake ink, which is like a turquoisey, like a light turquoise color. And then I used some gold metallic ink for the little ornaments. Now I'm also going to use the Altenew Bountiful Branch set. So for two of the other cards, I'm going to be using this stamp and I'm going to stamp it out twice to create a nice little branch in the bottom left corner of my card. So for the actual branch, I stamped it out in Altenew Evening Gray. So this is a bit darker than the gray that I'm going to use now to stamp out the background, which is Morning Frost. So the Morning Frost would be the first color in the set, and then the second darkest is Evening Gray. Then I'm using Altenew Ocean Waves to highlight the branch. So this is just a way to create a little bit of color without overpowering this image and making it stand out too much, which creates that watermark effect. So now I'm doing the berries. I'll do the first layer in Morning Frost, and then I'll do the actual detail layer in Frosty Red, which again is the lightest color of red in the set that it comes from. And now I've used my lazy method of masking. So I have this little post-it, which is sticky all over the back, and I've just kind of aligned it to where I need it, where it's going to stamp that image so that it looks like it joins with the first branch, but it's not going to stamp over that first branch. So this is my lazy method, and I'm showing you that because I hate cutting out masks. And I don't have the die for this, which would have made that easier, right? So anyways, I went ahead and stamped the second branch there. And you can see it turned out perfectly, even with my lazy masking. So now I'm using the Altenew Blessing stamp set, which is my go-to set for card inside sentiments for Christmas. And I'm stamping all 4 cards with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And using a stamp platform for this just makes this so much faster and so much easier to do, as you can see. For the second set of 2 cards, I stamped a different sentiment twice, and I could have stamped 4 different sentiments, but this just made it faster. Now I'm using Sunny Studios Christmas Trimming Set because it has this nice written Merry Christmas, and I wanted to stamp that in a coordinating color that matches the tree in this case and the bountiful branch in the other 2 cases. And I know this set, I haven't been able to find it. It's kind of old. What I'll do again is I'll link something close to it that has a nice Merry Christmas sentiment that you could use in place of this one. And I mean, you probably have sets that already have something like this. It's not something you really need to go out and buy. I'm really a fan of looking at what you have and seeing what you can use within your stash. So this was the first card with the white star, and the second card with the gold star. So you can see they have 2 different looks, even though they are pretty much the exact same design. And for this card, which is it's my favorite, so this one turned out very nicely with the greens, which is why I put the Christmas tree on this one. And then the ornament, which is the final card, which is very different from the others, but is still in line with being an alcohol ink background card. And those are all the different looks you get. So this is one of my favorite techniques because you could basically use one design. So maybe pick the star, and you could make backgrounds in tons of different colors and get like 5 or 10 or even more different cards. It's really up to you, and all the different combinations create that many more variations. I really like that I'm able to stamp a whole bunch from just a little bit of product. So I hope that you were able to gain some tips and tricks from what I did today, and you've been inspired to create something of your own that is similar. If you like my video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to be notified of further videos. And if you get a chance, please check out my blog. As I said, all the products that I've used are linked there, and I do have affiliate links, which are links where you can click through and find the products that I've used. And if you do happen to buy something, I do get a bit of a commission at no cost to you at all. It just helps me continue to help share these videos with you. So I hope that you've had a great time watching, and I hope to see you again. Thanks. Bye.